We're good.
That's an attorney talking now, Sybil. Watch him. That's an attorney.
Hello, everybody. We are live on What You Need to Know. And I am Sybil Wilkes. It is Thursday. And so we have George Wallace on our normal day. Also, we have joining us today two attorneys of note. We have the freedom fighter, the justice fighter, Attorney Griggs, and also Attorney Richard Rozier. Hello, gentlemen. How are you?
Doing great.
Doing great.
I'm sorry. You know what? I have you as Rozier. Is it Rose?
It's Rose like the flower, and I'm not an attorney. I'm a certified public accountant.
Oh, even better. We can use you on the 15th of April.
He's a CPA. He's a CPA, and that stands for car parking attendant. Yeah, that's what it is.
Hello, George Wallace. How are
Hello,
you, George?
Sybil. Hello, everybody. We're so happy to be here today. We know we have some heavy hitters, but we're going to try to enlighten you down a little bit. We got a lot of heavy things to talk about, but we're going to try to smooth in a little laughter with it, because when you finish with everything else, you got to do what, Sybil? You got to laugh a little bit.
Laughter is the best medicine, as George Wallace says.
It is free medicine, as George Wallace would say. That's why we encourage people to overdose on laughter. No matter what you do, when you guys get out of court, you need to start laughing. You guys are smiling right now. Being NAACP, here's a laugh right here. Mr. Rose, I couldn't find your number today because I couldn't spell NAACP. So.
Is that a product of the Atlanta school system, George? I'm just wondering.
Listen, don't you say that, Sybil, because listen, one of them represented the Atlanta school teachers. So I was always mad, when they had the school teachers, they were changing the grades. And I want to know, what the hell were they when I went to school in Atlanta? I went to school in County. They could have changed my grades. I could have gone to Harvard. I could have gone to Morehouse.
No, that never would have happened. Let's talk about what's going on in Georgia and Atlanta, especially. Attorney Gerald Griggs, you have been in the news most recently with your client, State Representative Park Cannon. And as a result of her standing up and trying to open the door and shed the light on what was going on with your governor, Brian Kemp, and the signing of the voter restriction bill. How are things going? What to get people up to speed with where we are with that particular incident?
Yes, earlier in March the 25th, my client Park Cannon, State Representative Park Cannon from the 58th District, was arrested for knocking on the governor's door. She was trying to witness the signing of Senate Bill 202, which is one of the most regressive voter suppression bills that we've had here in the state of Georgia. So she was arrested, and subsequently, after 11, almost 12 days, we were able to convince the district attorney to drop the charges. So the charges have been dismissed against Park Cannon, and now we're in the process of investigating for possible other legal action against the Georgia State Patrol and others involved in that arrest. But we fundamentally believe that it was an unlawful arrest. She should have never been arrested. Constitution protects state lawmakers from being arrested during session, and she was merely doing her job. She is the secretary of the Georgia House Caucus, so she witnesses the signing of bills. And this bill was particularly important because of the disenfranchisement of a large number of people of color based on the things that are in the 98-page bill.
How ridiculous is it that a woman who is on the committee to witness this thing, she's being kept out and arrested?
It's absolutely ridiculous. It goes back to Jim Crow, as Stacey Abrams said, it's Jim Crow 2.0. And we're seeing the rollback of rights, but we're also seeing a new generation step up and make sure we protect those rights. So Park wants all of those that support her to know she will keep on knocking. She will keep on fighting for voting rights. And this is just the beginning of the battle. Keep knocking.
It seems as though in this day, anytime a Black person talks to a police officer, seems like they're going to jail, but no matter what reason, right or wrong.
That's a lot of that is going on, and it's unfortunate. And that's why, people like myself and Richard Rose are on the front lines, making sure we push back, because we have a serious issue with police currently in the nation, and we have to address it, and we have to address it immediately.
So the only thing really has changed is that we see these things now because of the technology. They've been going on all the time.
Right. You no longer can get away with just closing the door. Before we move on any further, I just want people to know that we are aware of some technical issues that we're having, and and more so where I am, because the cable guy is here, and so they're working on things here. So just to let you know, we are aware of that. We thank you, and I hope that you will stick in with us. Mr. Rose, let's talk about the role of the NAACP in all of this, and the things that are going on in the state, in Georgia, as well as in Atlanta, and how this all fits into what we're talking about with the governor.
So in Georgia, as in many states, we have really one enemy we fight, and that's white supremacy. That is really is just a manifestation of white supremacy in this bill, in this legislation. This is what Georgia screams out all the time. Georgia is home to the largest shrine of white supremacy in the history of the world. And they continue to act that out, to continue to tell us, I mean, what they were telling us, we're going to show you about voting. We're going to show you black folk what we do if you vote. And so we have to be, continue to be intentional, continue to be active, because we have to continue to exercise our right as citizens to vote. Voting is fundamental to the democracy, and we intend to participate.
And so, Attorney Griggs, let me ask you this. Is there going to be a continuation of the fight against this voter suppression bill that has just recently been signed? And what, and more importantly, what can we do, your citizens of Georgia, as well as those of us around the country? How can we help you in this?
Yeah, absolutely. There will continue to be a fight. We've been having meetings with high-level executives with all of the Fortune 500 companies that are here in Georgia. We met with Georgia Power. We're meeting with Coca-Cola and Delta. There are organizations that are potentially looking at a boycott of the state. And so there are a lot of things that people can do. They can, one, support an organization that's doing work on the ground, like the NAACP, like Fair Fight, like New Georgia Project, like Black Voters Matter, that are engaged on the ground, and then stay aware of what's happening. You know, there are 46 bills around the country that are similar to Senate Bill 202. So we have to know that voting rights are being attacked right now. And we have to get in touch with our senators. We have to pass H.R. 1 and H.R. 4, the For the People Act and the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. And we have to make sure it gets through the Senate. Currently, it's blocked in the Senate because of the filibuster rule. So it's time for us to make a call to Washington to tell our senators to suspend the filibuster rule to protect voting rights. Because as John Lewis always said, you know, voting rights and having the power to vote is the most powerful nonviolent weapon that we have. And the best way to honor the tradition of John Lewis and others that fought and died for these rights is to pass a bill that protects us from these type of voter suppression and these Jim Crow-esque type tactics.
And we have to get activated. I mean, we think that everybody around the country should write each of the 50 Republican senators and the 2 Democratic senators and make them understand how important it is for the future of America and democracy for them to pass these 2 pieces of legislation. It is only what's right. This harkens back to the Boston Tea Party. That was about not having representation. Voting gives us representation.
That's right.
That is so cool. And we have people like Will Smith as of today, or was that yesterday?
And Antoine Fuqua,
pulling out
a couple of days ago.
Some people are going to be hurt, but in the long run, it's good for everybody. And I think we got to make that stand. And
I agree.
We got Coca-Cola, Delta, Home Depot. Atlanta, fortunately, has so many headquarters there. And people, well, it's about America. America needs to stand up and support.
Exactly.
And I got to tell you, I'm sorry, Mr. Ross, go ahead.
No, I was going to say everybody from Hawaii to Alaska to Maine to Puerto Rico, everybody should write these senators and make their feelings known. You know, silence gives consent, and we should not consent to this tyranny and terrorism that we see in Georgia.
And then, as you said, there are 46 bills out there, 46 states that are affected by this. And Texas, where I am, is certainly leading in the way in voter suppression. And we are, fighting it, but we are with you. And we also have to keep everyone engaged because as goes Georgia, as we are seeing, so goes the rest of the nation. And so, and Texas is really home to a number of very large corporations as well. And when you think about that, Dell Computers and Tesla just put their headquarters here.
American Airlines.
And things like that. Yes, and American Airlines. So let's think about that as we go on. And also, if we can also have people just follow you guys through social media and keep up to date on that as well. And we will ask you all to give us your social media information so we can keep people apprised of that as well. Are you all able to stay with us?
Definitely, yes.
Yes.
Okay, because it been Thursday. I have to throw in a little joke. Don't you think it'd be nice if Atlanta were to succeed and Atlanta become a state like Washington D.C. and then give us 2 more? Because when you're in Atlanta, you're not in Georgia. Okay?
Well, but don't give them any ideas, because if Atlanta succeeds, then Georgia might go back into the Confederacy. So we don't give them any ideas.
But we would be in Atlanta though. That would still be 2 more senators.
That's true though. That's true.
Good point.
And just as we're on that topic, George, and talking about topical things, just so folks know that the bill to make DC, the District of Columbia, a state goes before the House next week. And so that is passed through committee, and they will be voting on that too in the House and then on to the Senate. We're assuming, of course, that it's going to pass in the House. But this is to make the District of Columbia a state. And that is next week. So we'll keep you up to date on that as well.
New? Because I thought they already had passed one bill making DC a state.
Well, they had in the House.
In the House,
it has been before. But your friend Mitch McConnell has managed to stall these things in the past, George.
Yeah, but he's in the Senate. Now, where is he?
Well, no, that's right. So, very good, George. So it passed in the House.
But what I'm saying is it already passed it in the House. Now it has to go to the Senate.
Yeah, but no. This session, it has to pass in this session,
okay,
before it goes into the House a second time. Okay, so that's next week.
That's Mitch, the man with the chin, the old crazy man.
That's your friend, Mitch McConnell.
How dare you? How dare you?
George, let's talk about the difference in police stops. You sent us this video and you wanted us to talk about this. This is the difference in how a white person is stopped by the cops and how a black person is stopped by the cops. This is the example from all.
He said he's not going to shut off the car, so. Okay, that's all right. Just keep an eye on it. Just get the right fit. Just start. Put your hands on the steering wheel. No. What are you reaching for? Oh, whoa. Hey, get out of the car, man. You got a gun right there. Whoa. There's rights to this. Get out. There are rights to this. Do you have a concealed carry? There are rights to this. Whoa, get out. Hold up right there. It's open. My hands are up. No, you got to. This is on body cam. You have a body cam, sir? Put your hands over your eyes. Do you have a body cam? Put your hand over your eyes. Do you have a body cam, sir? Put your hands over your eyes. I will send this dog on you. I will shoot you if you do. Don't fucking grab my gun. You have rights. Put your hands. You have rights too. You have rights too. Don't you dare. You have rights. You cannot shoot me here. This is unconstitutional. You know that. Right. You have a weapon, okay? Yes, I do. And it's don't. What I need you to do. Hey. You guys grabbing me on this is also unconstitutional. Body cam request. Can you quit yelling so I can talk to you? You have a gun for me, sir. Right now. I need you to relax for me, okay? I will shoot you if this possible. That's a threat, and so open that. You have no body cam. You know this. He has a body cam. My hands are open. Okay. My hands are open. You need to get out of the car so we can remove you from that weapon. You cannot. No, it is constitutionally owned. I see that. You have a concealed carry permit. It's not concealed. Yes, you can see the weapon. It's right there. Don't do it. What are you afraid of? Don't do it. I'm not doing anything. Do me a favor. Just please step out of the car. That's all we're asking you to do. Oh, you're asking me not to take gun? Yes. Conceal your weapons, please. No. This is how we treat each other civilly. This is not how we act civilly. You know this. Right eye. Right eye. You got cover? No. Yes, we do. Don't. Just please. Do you have body cam? Please. Do you have body cam? Do not forcibly remove. Do not. Don't. Do it. Don't. You know that. Please. I need you to get out of the car. Then else. Hey, I see double blue, sir. They're gonna shoot me on double blue? Just relax. No, just relax. Please get out of the car. There's rights to this. You know there are rights to this. Listen, we can figure this out. We can talk about this, okay? This how you feel about this. We can't talk about it with you not listening to us. We're not listening. You are first of the ground. All I'm asking you to do. You're violating my rights right now. Let go of me. You just put your hand on a gun, sir. Whoa. No, you pulled a gun on me unconstitutionally. Please. And I did my in response. We don't want to do this, man. Just get out of the car. I'm just asking. We'll get this figured out. Just come out and just get out of the car. You release me now. You can't do that. Release it. I have Second Amendment rights, David.
Okay, just get out of the car. Come on, come back here. We'll talk about it.
Excuse me, this right here is the reason to defend myself, cast a doctrine. You know that.
We'll get this figured out. Don't do it, please. Just come on.
Get out of the car, sir.
Just get out of the car. Just step out.
The gun's down.
No, just step out. Just step out of the car. Don't do it.
Get out of the car. You're on double blue. You know what's going to happen, right?
Just stop.
You need to get out of the car. That's a lawful order. You're going to go to jail. A gunpoint? Oh, take me to jail then. Go ahead.
Just come on.
So, you know,
we said we was going to laugh. We said we was going to laugh.
Go ahead, George.
You said we're going to laugh. Now, you two guys live in Atlanta, Georgia, Mr. Rose and Mr. Griggs. My cousin is Willie Watkins. He owns the largest funeral home in Atlanta.
We know
my funeral will be over by now.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
This
Right.
man drove
Long time ago.
away.
Yeah, he'd be burying the next
drove
person.
away. He drove off.
Wow.
He lived
believe
another
that?
day.
Right.
Why?
Wow.
Yeah, because he's white. I mean, let's be clear. This America was founded on white supremacy. So
Yes.
why are we surprised? What we have to continue to do is be strong. The first reaction to oppression is resistance, and we must continue to resist.
That's right. That's right.
But Sybil, wasn't that far and above Sybil? That was like,
oh, George, we
man.
got more examples. We have, like, from recently, we have other examples that we can continue to show you where white people do the craziest things and they drive away. They live another day.
Right.
This is not a racist show, but we got to start a segment on white people do the craziest thing.
But I mean, here's the thing. He actually reached for a gun. They said gun a couple times, and he didn't die. And so, I mean, you know, as an attorney, he is right. He does have his Fourth and Fifth Amendment rights. But, you know, many times in these cases with African Americans, we don't even get that conversation. It is, he's got a gun, pow.
Right.
So,
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Or even if he doesn't have a gun, pow.
He did use a code there that most people don't know. He used a code, and you got to look into this. He said blue on blue. That's an inside code. Double blue. That's an inside code. I'm a police officer. You can't do this to me. And police officers don't turn on each other.
And so I was wondering if I didn't know, I didn't get that he was a police officer. I didn't understand. I thought maybe he was the son of or related to somebody, you know, mom and dad or something. But he's a police officer. You say that's the code, George.
But he's in with the police officer. Blue on blue means we're together. Yeah. But no black man, black on black, blue on green. I don't give a damn what color you use. His hands
don't do that.
Stretched out. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah, don't get it twisted here.
So that's our joke of the day. Let's look at it as a joke, okay? Because
well, that's pretty much what Deborah Clark Fairfax is saying on Facebook. She said this has to be staged. It can't be real. And someone else just said, you know, they did everything but buy him a meal. You know, it was
they didn't take him to Burger King. They didn't take him to Burger King.
Right. Right, Attorney Griggs, exactly right. So this just leads us to another situation that happened this week. This is like day before yesterday. A young black man walking through a neighborhood in South Carolina. People call the police to say that this young man is making them feel uncomfortable, and a drill sergeant, a white drill sergeant, takes it upon himself to stop this young man. And so we have that as well.
This is funny.
This is the cop. This is the so-called cop. This is the drill sergeant. And he has now been charged. He is Army Sergeant Jonathan Pentland, and he's been charged with assaulting this black man in the viral video and harassing him on the sidewalk in their South Carolina neighborhood. This happened on Monday, and it went viral. The U.S. Army Staff Sergeant Captain threatening and yelling at the young man and repeatedly telling him to leave, and at one point pushing him very violently. Posted on Facebook by Sherelle Johnson, and it's been watched more than 2 million times. The Army has gotten involved, the police got involved, and he has been arrested and charged with third-degree assault and battery as of yesterday. And black folks were not having it because they found out the address. It went viral and everybody showed up there last night. The police had to come and move this man's family to another location. And so that is the picture of, and hopefully we'll have that. We don't have, okay, we're trying to get that picture of all the folks coming last night and standing in front of his home.
It was hundreds of folks that stood in front of his home, and that was actually in Columbia, South Carolina.
Right.
And so, the young man was walking in his neighborhood. He lived in the neighborhood. He was approached by this individual who asked him where he was going, if he lived here. He actually said, we can follow you to your house. And he was like, why you need to follow me? I live here. And then he asked how long y'all lived here. So it just went back and forth.
That was so smart. I love that. The little kid said, who are you? What are you? Didn't move either. I wanted the guy to hit him so he could really get sued for a lot of money. That's what I wanted.
Oh yeah. I
just wanted him to make sure he lived.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you see this, right? George? Yeah.
Yes.
The opportunity for this
I see
kid
it's still
live.
there. Yeah. Right?
Yeah. But that was a part of the assault on him.
Oh my God! Look at that.
There you go.
That's amazing. So if you can't laugh in America, you can't laugh. It's not a good moment to be laughing, but the kid wasn't hurt and the man is going to go to jail. But America needs to see this. And I just think this is really, I didn't know. That's good. See, everything can turn into a joke. I mean, not a joke, but laughter there. So, but his ass went to jail.
All right, George. So we have late breaking news, and I want to thank our friend Sean King for providing this. And speaking of how the tides are shifting and changing. Okay, take a look at this.
Also, I want to say, I think a lot of people are thinking like I was, that both the gun and the taser would be put on your dominant side, but it's not that way.
Yeah, but they have to cross where they have them different.
So you actually have to reach across yourself
to
get
feel the difference. I mean,
it's definitely
there's just no comparison. As I say, they're not making tasers in this yellow color anymore. They're making in black. They're making them yellow. Now, how she made the difference was she shot that poor guy to death, saying, "This is what I thought. I thought was my taser." And if you can't tell the difference in the feel of those things, it's crazy. Anyhow, she deserves. But I am pro-police, folks. I think we need the police. We need their servants, and they do a good job. But if they don't stop this onslaught, they cannot do this. The police in Virginia picked up a lieutenant in the Army and began to give him trouble. And our state police are highly trained. But why they don't stop this? And this thing is going on in Minnesota, but the Derek Chauvin, I mean, they ought to put him under the jail. He has caused so much trouble by kneeling on the death of George Floyd. It's just, on his neck. It's just terrible what's happening. And the police, why don't they open their eyes to what the public relations are? They've got to stop this stuff.
Maybe they need more training.
Pat Robertson.
Excuse me. Everybody, Sybil, get your red cups out.
Absolutely.
Please, get your red cups out. Did you hear what he said, Sybil?
He said he should be put under the jail.
No, we only say that. I've never heard a white paper saying you need to be under the jail. Right?
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Pat Robertson. Ladies and gentlemen.
Hell is freezing over.
Well, maybe some of the other preachers will finally come. Maybe Paula White will finally come out and say something like this. Maybe the other guys
she's got to leave the clutches of Donald Trump first. I'm not sure she's ready to do that, George.
Or maybe even Franklin Graham.
That's the one I was talking about. Yeah, Franklin Graham, all of them.
And Joel Osteen as well. I mean, it's something else when you start to see
wait a minute.
the tide turning.
You crossed the line. Joel Osteen is a good friend of mine. But Joel, go ahead and do it.
I mean, we need all the evangelicals to come to the front of the line and start talking about this stuff, because we're talking about injustice, and an injustice to anyone is an injustice to everyone, and these are real serious threats to not only African-American community, but the greater community at all, because if the police can do this unchecked to anybody, like the Army lieutenant who was in Virginia, who was merely following directions. He had his uniform on. Right. He had his uniform on.
I'm not going to talk too much, but Gerald, Mr. Griggs, you're so right. This word needs to be discussed in the white church. That's the most important.
Sunday mornings. That's right.
Well, I think you're asking a little bit too much from evangelicals. I would just like them to embrace Christianity first.
But listen, I'm a little different from you. I want them to address the police brutality and beat my black ass first. They can love Jesus later. They can love Jesus later, okay? But right now,
I think that'd be a start. I mean, let's get started.
Listen,
I think that's a brilliant suggestion, Mr. Rose.
We got 4 people on this camera. If we were to see a blue light right now in our house,
it'd be a real problem.
Okay. And we'd be calling on Attorney Griggs to help us. He's like, I can't help you now.
First thing, I have my hands up. And I would say I don't consent to any searches, but I want my lawyer.
That's right.
And so I'm going to say this, and then I'm going to stop. I'm going to say anything else tonight. So Griggs.
That's not true, George. So don't lie.
Mr. Rose. Well, you know I do lie. I love lying. I just love lying. But I still want a course to be taught in schools, all schools, on how to and what not to do when you're approached by a police officer, a person of the law. And I think, knowing your rights, knowing what to do, and knowing what not to do. Now, that guy, the white guy, he was right in everything he said. And he pulled off, and they didn't shoot him. But had I said the same thing and being right, I've been right dead, or dead right.
We'll be marching for you. We'll be marching for you, George.
Yep.
You'll be looking down on me right now, when you be looking down on me.
That's right. Attorney Griggs, and we do talk about that in tomorrow's newsletter, by the way. Our social activist, Coy Malone, is talking about, how to respond when the police do stop you, especially as a Black person. But I think it would behoove us to have that conversation with you and with a police officer and someone to take us through the steps so that we can, because there are all kinds of ways that people have talked to their children about how to respond. But I think it bears repeating in terms of how we deal with this.
Yeah, but the only problem is the rules continue to shift. Now, I can tell you how the law says and how the court cases say, but currently right now in our popular discussion, the rules are shifting, and so you have your 4th Amendment rights, you have your 5th Amendment rights. But when you have law enforcement officers who are not operating as if you have 4th and 5th Amendment rights, we have a real problem. So that's why, yes, we can have these conversations with the community, but the problem is not the community. The problem is not having police accountability for the officers that run afoul of the law. Perfect example is the young lady up there with Mr. Wright's case. I don't see how you can not figure out the difference between a Glock and a taser. One is on one side of your body, the other one's on another side of your body. And she held the gun out for a sufficient amount of time where you can see it in her body cam, which means she could see it. And so there are some real issues that her defense team is going to have. And I fully expect the charges to be increased because you can't just justify to me this is 2nd-degree manslaughter. This right here, even though it may not be premeditated 1st-degree murder, it's clearly 2nd or 3rd-degree murder. And so, they have some issues. I know that the AG's office in Minnesota is focused on George Floyd. And as soon as that case is over and the jury gets that case, they need to take a strong look at this case and upgrade those charges.
Right.
So can you talk a little bit about the 2nd-degree, 3rd-degree, and manslaughter? Those charges?
Well, manslaughter is an unintentional killing. So you don't really have the intent, and it shows some type of negligence or gross negligence gets you manslaughter and there's a death. For 3rd and 2nd degree, you start getting into intention, whether it was depraved heart, that's heat of passion, or that you took some type of substantial step where you intended to kill somebody. 1st-degree murder is premeditation. That means you meant to kill them. You premeditated, I'm going to kill them. So that just shows, gross indifference to life, and you wanted to end that person's life. So I don't quite think we get to 1st degree, but I think a conversation on 2nd degree or 3rd degree, depending on the statute in Minnesota. I know in Georgia, it would be very easy to maybe get 2nd degree on this depraved heart, consciously ignoring substantial facts there that would lead to somebody having the intention, because I mean, she said taser, taser, taser.
Yeah.
Okay, so that means she knew she had a weapon in her hand. She should have looked down the barrel. It has a sight on it. It's a substantially different weight, and you fired.
Yeah.
And then you made an admission. The admission was, I shot him.
All she saw was black.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So there's some serious issues there.
Yeah, it points up to what we advocate is that we have to reimagine public safety. Right now, we have 3 options for 911. The fire department, the EMT, and everything else they call the police. So even if it's a naked man walking down the street, talking out of his head, they call in the police, and you got an Anthony Hill body for your cousin Willie Watkins. I mean, we and different from when the firemen are in the firehouse and nothing is going on, they sitting around playing chess or whatever they do. But policemen are going out trying to stir up crime. Instead of being understaffed, I believe our police force, policemen are overstaffed. I think they have too many, don't have enough to do, so they find out stuff. And what they do is they pick on black communities. So we need to completely restructure public safety so that it in fact serves the community and not serves the union and not serves a few people with depraved indifference. We need to rethink this whole thing. And because we have to remember that our current police forces have evolved from slave catching patrols.
Yes.
Yeah.
Totally.
Can you talk a little bit about what you think the George Floyd policing bill will do in terms of bringing some sort of universal or at least nationwide coordination?
Yeah, I mean, definitely it will ban chokeholds. It will set a standard of use of force nationally. It will create a registry to report these use of force issues, because currently nationally, there is no uniform registry to track police use of force around the nation. But ultimately, it will end sovereign immunity. And that's the real issue. The real issue is a lot of these families cannot get justice because they cannot sue. Each state has its own case law on whether or not to apply sovereign immunity. That's the protection that police officers get by the mere fact that they are police officers, so you can't sue them. So those are just a few of the things the George Floyd Policing Justice Act would do. I think it doesn't go far enough, but it's a substantial step, and we have to make that step. And that's why it's important. And I mean, we've given leeway, but we're almost at 100 days in the Biden administration. We need the passage of the George Floyd Policing and Reform Act, because you made certain promises to George's family. You made certain promises to the community at large. And this is a pandemic. We've already dealt with, for the most part, COVID relief for the pandemic and the rollout of the vaccines. So now we got to deal with the other pandemic. We dealt with the pandemic, COVID-19. We got to deal with racism, 1619, and its offshoot, which is police brutality. So we got to deal with those. We got to deal with them now.
Absolutely.
Oh my goodness, this is so good today. My only thing in this bill, we're not going to choke. Can we put something there about black men getting on the ground? Mr. Rose, Mr. Griggs, why do I have to get on the ground? I'm a black man. You got my arms in the air. Why do they dehumanize us? Why do we have to get on the ground? I'm not going anywhere. Why you got to shoot a guy in the back? His car, you got his car. He's coming to pick up his car tomorrow. Why you always got to shoot a black person? Why? These things are just simple. Like when the lady got out of the car yesterday, there's a license plate. The last thing I'm gonna do is kill somebody because you got an expired license plate. Or you got to tell that out. Why is this so hard to get in your head when you get out of the car?
They normalize white supremacy to the extent that they actually, as the phrase Black Lives Matter means, they have actually devalued Black lives, and we have to continue to assert that. But and they do it in all these different ways, monuments, Confederate holidays, the denigration of black people in general. You're dumber, you lazy, you shiftless, you oversexed. I mean, all of this plays in. It's sort of an offense defense.
I'm guilty of 3 of those.
See, the offense is that white people are better. The defense is that because y'all not any good. There are only 2 objectives to oppression, and those are denigration and deprivation, to take away your self-worth and take away your resources and deny you access to resources. And so they've been doing this for a long time.
Let's see what we have. We have Teresa on Facebook said, "Who is Richard Rose?" Mr. Rose. Can you tell us, give a little bit of your resume, not just as a CPA, which we need on April 15th. We might be a little late to that part. Mr. Rose with the NAACP.
Sure. So I'm a native of Memphis, Tennessee. I came to Atlanta to go to school at Clark College.
Okay.
I'm a Clark College grad. Graduate study at Georgia State University and certified public accountant. But I've been here. I came to Atlanta and they wouldn't let me leave.
It happens to everybody. It happens to everybody.
And he's the president of the Atlanta chapter of the NAACP.
So that's what I was going to ask you. Thanks, Attorney Griggs. How did you come to be a part of the NAACP? Was that just something that you grew into? Was it a family thing, or just as a part of your working here in Atlanta?
So you're asking Griggs or me?
No, I'm sorry. I was just thanking Attorney Griggs for pointing out your position with the NAACP.
Oh yeah. So I started the NAACP in Memphis as a 13-year-old. My first protest was as a 13-year-old. And so I had a cousin who was one of the founders of SCLC with Dr. King, James Belver. And then I came to Atlanta. SCLC was here. Jose Williams was one of my mentors. And so I've been kind of, I'm a numbers guy. So I've been in the background a long time. But a few years ago, they forgot who I really was and asked me to run for president of the Atlanta branch. And then the real Richard Rose came out.
So cool.
That's great. That's great. Well, we appreciate your being here with us today. And I want to talk a little bit about our newsletter. We have a newsletter that we started before we ended the Tom Joyner Show, and it's called What You Need to Know. And every day we have stories in our newsletter which encourage people to find out what's going on in the African American community. And so I don't know about you, Attorney Griggs, you've been with us before. Mr. Rose, this is your first opportunity to join us, but we do ask people to, won't you come to the doors of the What You Need to Know newsletter are open. We ask you to sign up and be a part of our What You Need to Know newsletter. If you go to sybilwilkes.com and sign up and give us your name and your email address, we'll have the newsletter in your email box every Monday through Friday morning. And as a part of this, please join us. And we are talking about the Chauvin case is the ongoing story that we have covered every day. That will come to an end as now both sides have rested their cases today. The defense ended, Attorney Griggs, 7 witnesses in 2 days, and their defendant, Derek Chauvin, saying that he chose not to testify on his own behalf. And so that pretty much closes down everything as far as that's concerned. So they both rested their cases. The defense, and a very impressive prosecution, if I may say so.
Very nice.
Attorney Griggs, so let me get your thoughts on that and how that looked to you, or what you were able to see.
Yeah, well, 38 witnesses from the prosecution is very strong. The defense called 7 witnesses, and the prosecution called another witness in rebuttal to debunk the defense's case. I still haven't quite figured out what the defense's case is. It seems as though they're trying to blame drug use, as well as his heart, as well as carbon monoxide as the causes of death for Mr. George Floyd, when everybody watched for 9 minutes and 29 seconds over and over and over again, a knee being on his neck. And the knee was on his neck. It wasn't on his back. It was on his neck. Right. And so I think that's the argument. And I don't think that's a winning argument. I think you should have went with, they can't prove beyond a reasonable doubt that he intended to kill Mr. Floyd, and they can prove that he acted with reckless disregard to kill him. But I think that's the posture they're in. And I think that their last expert kind of incredulously tried to prove the carbon monoxide argument. And I was kind of concerned at the end, that they didn't have the reports that show that there was not a large amount of carbon monoxide in George's in blood. It would have been nice to have that report in front of the jury, but I think that in rebuttal, they cleaned that part up. Right. So I'm interested in seeing the closing arguments, because, basically trials are two stages of a trial: jury selection and closing. is when a trial is won. So I'm looking forward to the prosecution closing strong on Monday, looking forward to defense putting some semblance of an argument up there, and then seeing what the jury does. You never can tell with a jury, but I'm hopeful in this case. The
prosecutor did one thing wrong. One thing wrong.
He
did not bring in Pat Robinson. That was
yes, Pat Robinson should have been a surprise witness.
well, how could they tell whether Pat Robinson had grown a conscience? You know, that
would freak him out right there. Is this true? What I'm saying? Right. Somebody go get me a Krispy Kreme donuts. Give me a cup. Is this true?
I think he'd be surprised. I think Pat himself would be surprised when he sees that video of himself.
I was drinking that day. I was having communion, the wrong wine.
I thought this was water in here, and
somebody turned the water into wine and had me drink it. Yes.
Exactly right. So as you said, tomorrow they will not have any of the. There will be no.
Tomorrow they're in recess. The judge gave them extra day off for the weekend, which is understandable considering they've been, in that trial for a long period of time. They have to give them the charge of the law. Many people don't know that after closing, the judge gives you the charge of the law, which can take hours to give you what the law actually says, not the stuff that the lawyers are saying. And then you go into deliberation. So he wanted for them to start fresh. I'm assuming if it's like Georgia, it's a major felony. So both sides get 2 hours to argue. I don't think it should take that long. I think the prosecution should focus on use your common sense and reason, play the video again for 9 minutes and 29 seconds,
make it simple,
and say, was this reasonable? You saw him say, I cannot breathe. I cannot breathe. And Mr. Chauvin stood on his neck with his knee and had his hand in his pocket, looking at the crowd. The crowd was not overly aggressive. They were trying to get Mr. Chauvin's knee off of George Floyd's neck. And for 9 minutes and 29 seconds, we saw a man die.
Right.
So I'm hoping that they see this tonight, Gerald Griggs, and they record it, and then the prosecution goes to work. Because
Listen, they can tag me in. I can get on a flight and go to Minnesota. We can tag in because you need to bring that emotion. I loved how he was methodical in his opening, but in a closing, you need to bring that emotion. They need to feel George's spirit in that courtroom, the spirit of justice that needs to be meted out. We need to send Derek Chauvin to prison, period. Because not only was he indignant in killing George Floyd, but he was indignant in forcing us to sit through this trial where we had to watch a man die over and over again, calling for his mother.
Now I know that they can't introduce this at trial, but what we know is that whenever we've seen a vicious murder like this, that police person has already had a record of abuse, and Chauvin is fits the bill. I mean, he's like Garrett Roth, who killed Rashard Brooks in Atlanta. They have a record of abuse, and it should never come to that. It starts off with abusive language, probably, some grabbing of the collars, but it ends up in death, and we have to stop that cycle.
Absolutely. Let's talk about a case in Buffalo, New York, with a Black woman, a Black police officer, Carol Horn, stopped her partner, Greg Kwiatkowski's chokehold on a handcuffed Black man, Neil Mack. And this happened in 2006. In 2008, she was fired because she took her partner's hands off of this man's neck. Months before she was eligible to receive her pension. This week, this is 2021, if I have to remind anybody, 13 years later, the New York State Supreme Court vacated the previous ruling upholding her firing. She now will receive her full pension, her back pay, and her benefits.
Wow.
That's great news. But the fact that it took
13 years,
that's criminal.
That was criminal. The blue on blue.
And this is the police officer, Carol Horn, and salute to you, madam. Absolutely.
Yes.
Thank you for thank you for your service. Thank you for what you did. And this is what more police officers need to do. Again, the call for accountability is not for all police officers. It's just for the ones that break the public trust. This is not a war on police. This is a war for justice.
Right.
This is a battle for accountability. And police officers like that who stand up and go against the blue wall, which we saw in Derek Chauvin's case, and people coming to testify on behalf of George Floyd. You saw a police chief, you saw specialists, you saw use of force. This is the first time I've seen this in a long time in a trial. Police officers like those need to be applauded. Police officers like the ones that protected the Capitol from the insurrection, they need to be applauded. But bad police officers like Derek Chauvin and like the young lady that killed Mr. Wright, they need to be held accountable, and we need to move the police unions out of the way. No longer should there be a blue wall of silence. We need justice to rain down and accountability to pierce that blue wall.
That's right.
And the enemy is not the police; it is the police union for their own personal benefit.
So maybe we should take the money from the police unions' pension funds as opposed to coming from the cities, coming from us, because we wind up paying that money.
Well, another idea is to require all police officers to have malpractice insurance, like doctors and CPAs and lawyers. If they have to get bonded, they'd have a different idea about what they do every day.
That's right.
Especially when those premiums
keep
going up.
Retraining, I think basically if we have just normal retraining, hey, here's how you handle this, de-escalate everything. Because, like I said before, expired license plate does not require taking a life no matter what. If somebody's breaking into a home, what do they call that, breaking and entering at 3 o'clock in the morning? Why break in?
Yes.
You can wait till 5 o'clock, 8 o'clock the next morning, they coming out. It's some stupid stuff.
And you have all the information in the computer, so you know where they're going.
You know the insurance.
The same thing with Rashard Brooks. The same thing with
Yes.
Rashard Brooks. He was blocks away from his sister's house, right? And so just let him walk home. With this young man, okay, he's going to run away. We know where he lives. We got his
Rashard
information.
right there.
Exactly.
And a black man coming to get that car tomorrow.
Right.
He's coming to get his car.
And Rashard really was not operating a vehicle on public streets.
No, he was in the Wendy's parking lot.
He was in the Wendy's parking lot, right. So he was trespassing at best.
Well, they got
which is a misdemeanor, which is not punishable by death.
We got some good chili at Wendy's. I mean, you'll fall asleep waiting for them to make it. That chili is just that damn good.
Oh, George.
The chili is good. The chili
is
good.
The chili is good.
There's some good chili.
We'll talk about chicken sandwiches next week, okay?
Guys, let's talk something a little lighter. Let's talk about one of my favorite days today, not tax day, but it's Jackie Robinson Day. So
yes,
I'm wearing the colors and supporting Jackie Robinson. This is the anniversary of the day that he entered Major League Baseball, the first black man to integrate Major League Baseball. And just a salute. I have a particular love of baseball, and I'm one of the few black Americans that still like baseball. Maybe I'm showing my age. There's a few of us. Okay. You're not among them, Attorney Griggs.
Well, I mean, I'm not supporting the Braves right now because the Braves don't support voting rights, but I do support many of the players. I grew up, looking up to Hank Aaron and Jackie Robinson and Dave Justice and, Ron Gant. Of course, Willie Mays, Barry Bonds before steroids. And a lot of them.
You had to throw that joke in there, didn't you? You just had to throw that joke in there.
I
did,
That was BS before steroids. I get it. BS.
We brought it out. Lawyers like to have fun too. Lawyers like to tell
lawyers do like to have fun.
That's good, and keep doing that, okay?
Yes, I'm not serious all the time.
Exactly.
I was asking people to celebrate today because all of the news that we have has just been bogging us down. And so celebrating people like Jackie Robinson and his family who have kept his memory alive and have worked so hard with Major League Baseball to include and to increase the participation of Black folks in Major League Baseball, and which is, one of my dreams was used to own a Major League team. And I remember
wait, used to be, you still can.
No, I know. I don't have Tom Joyner money, so I'm really
listen, Magic Johnson. If you are watching this, Sybil would like a piece of the Los Angeles Dodgers.
What about LeBron James? What about LeBron James? Isn't he with the Dodgers?
Well, she said that she's a Dodgers fan, so she can't have the Red Sox. But again, Magic, if you're watching this,
we're talking money now. She'll take any team she can get. Okay, she got the Texas Rangers. You can make money with any baseball team. We just need Black owners.
The fact that Black folks are doing it, and even like you said, Boston, they have a Black woman who's coaching now. And who's just been hired as a coach. And so all of these things are playing a part in, celebration. And that's what I wanted to do today, and celebrate those people that also introduced you to baseball. Like my dad took me to my first White Sox game and things like that. My mom took me to the Cubs game. And I was a Cubs fan until they sold the team to a racist family. And so then I had to let it go. But, be that as it may, their daddy was, just not, never mind. Anyway, so,
but we still love Ernie Banks.
Yes, we do.
Absolutely.
Can I tell you, my mother in the airport in Chicago O'Hare Airport said, "Look, Sybil, over there. There's Ernie Banks." And so
I met him.
She said, "Mr. Banks, this is my daughter. She's a fan." And he shook my hand, and I didn't wash my hand for quite a few days after that. But those are great. Mr. Cub and number 15. You just gotta love it. So thank you for all of those memories. Before we go, another light moment. Those of us who don't have children have pets. And when we go out and get our dogs, we have visions of how that, the dog looks and what kind of pet he's going to be. This is reality versus expectation, or expectation versus reality. We don't have it? Okay.
Well, my dog is going to be like Major. I want you to bite everybody's ass and come in this. Everybody's ass that come in this yard.
We had to bring up Major. He's been taking training. He's not biting anymore.
Major says, "I don't want to hear that shit. If you come in the yard, I'm biting you."
It's his property. He like Mr. President. That's Mr. Gilmore's property. You in the yard?
They had those dogs at the White House when Obama was in office, because they teach those dogs to eat Black people. A lot of people don't know this, but most Black people do. Every time you saw President Barack Obama get off that airplane, off that helicopter, what was he doing? His ass was jogging. Those dogs were
Wow.
But Sybil, you wanted to keep it light today, and I know these two lawyers, y'all been very nice today. This is the first time we laughed at law, so this is really good. Y'all have to come back. But I got one question.
I laugh at law all the time, because sometimes it keeps you from crying.
Well, let me ask you this then, Mr. Lawyer. Why do they have Bibles in the courtroom?
Because they want you to swear on a Bible to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth on the penalty of perjury. I say on the penalty of perjury, but that's why
that's the reason we're here in the first place. Somebody lied. Somebody lied.
That is true.
That's absolutely true.
That is absolutely true.
Well, that goes back to my wish that that evangelicals would embrace Christianity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's so true.
Mm-hmm. Before we go, guys, we don't have that picture of the expectation versus reality, but we do like to leave our readers every day with a little bit of inspiration, Yogi's Jewels. And today, speaking of religion and the Bible, you are special because God says you are. Take that with you today.
And if God said it, so be it.
So be it. Amen.
Mr. Rose, you go back to your office. You go back to your office because I know you got many a shoe boxes at your office right now. Today is go to jail day. I go to jail every April 15th. How do y'all do that? You have the toughest job in the world, and God bless you, you guys that have jobs out there, because I don't do nothing, okay? I just got out of bed about an hour ago, but y'all have real jobs, and everybody out there that works, God bless you. I went to the doctor this morning. The doctor was seeing patients at 8 o'clock. Ain't no way in hell I go to work and see patients at 8 o'clock like that. Y'all work. God bless you. I'm glad you enjoy what you do. I love what I do.
And this is what you do so well, George. Don't forget his book, Bull Twit.
Oh yeah, I forgot about my book, Bull Twit. Yeah, I moved and I didn't bring a picture.
And you know what, George? We're coming up on Mother's Day, Father's Day. It'll make a great gift.
Thank you so much. And go online, and I need to send you lawyers a copy. Okay, it's called Bull Twit. That's some bull twit right there. And go online and follow me at Mr. George Wallace. Okay, and we enjoyed you guys. And please come back. Let's laugh some more. Let's laugh, laughing with the law.
Definitely, we can do that.
And Attorney Griggs, we can find you at Attorney Griggs. And Mr.
Right
Rose,
there.
how can we find you?
Most of them can find him at the courthouse. He's usually in jail somewhere close to a jail. That's where he's mostly.
I'm usually close to a jail, yes.
Follow us at NAACP Atlanta on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, NAACP Atlanta.
And that's another great thing y'all did in Atlanta, Mr. Griggs. Y'all got rid of the jail. Y'all closed the jail down. Isn't that wonderful? That's just
it's not quite closed yet. So hopefully, the mayor will live up to her promise.
Maybe we can fill it up with police.
We're gonna leave that one alone.
Everybody, have a wonderful weekend. Attorney Griggs, thank you so much. Richard Rose, and we will ask you to watch this, and then we will see you all on Monday. Have a wonderful
weekend. And I'm George
weekend.
Wallace. I love you. There's absolutely nothing you can do better because my love for you does not require your permission. Bye.
He can tell you about their first dance, but he can't remember my name. I'm his daughter.
Half of all Black families are impacted by Alzheimer's, but we don't know why. At HSC, we are investing in a new research study to find solutions for your family. To join the research study, visit blackalzbrainstudy.com or call 817-735-2963.